Now, the military junta in Niger Republic has cut off ties with Nigeria after efforts of ECOWAS to mediate in the coup in the country failed. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu had sent a high-powered delegation to Niger to meet with the coup leaders, but they were only able to meet with representatives of the junta. Subsequently, Niger severed ties with Nigeria, Togo, France, its colonizers, and the United States. There's more in this report by Ni Amoni.
The military government in Niger has announced that it sees severing diplomatic ties with neighboring Nigeria in a major deterioration of relations after Niger's military seized power and arrested President Mohamed Bazoum and other top officials last week, ending Niger's brief period of democratic rule. In cutting ties with Nigeria, Niger is protesting Nigeria's role as the chair of ECOWAS, which has imposed sanctions on the military junta now ruling Niger. The diplomatic role comes at a sensitive time for Nigeria-Niger relations. Under the recently ousted Bazoum administration, Nigeria and Niger had strengthened economic cooperation. Nigeria is Niger's largest trading partner and a major destination for Niger's exports. Nigeria had just completed the construction of a new bridge linking the two countries, intended to boost trade and people-to-people ties. However, Niger's suspension of ties with Nigeria now threatens to derail these efforts, with Nigeria cutting 70% of Niger's electricity, which is purchased from Nigeria.
From the situation report of our people from the market, it's just that everything is under restriction, serious restriction.
All their goods, literally all their goods, go through the Nigerian ports, especially the one in Lagos. So they cannot afford over time to play these diplomatic, jangles that are going on. It cannot happen for too long.
Some observers worry that if not resolved soon, the dispute could worsen and even impact security in the Sahel region.
It will spill over to Nigeria, but not trade, security-wise. If there's a crisis in Niger, there is going to be an influx of people into Nigeria.
Only pray for them so that things will not be out of hand. And the United Nations has to do the right things, because withdrawing aid will not be enough.
Both sides cannot control their borders totally. I'm talking of open border now. I'm talking of 1,500 kilometers of border where you and I can cross. The official borders, you and I can cross as well. For 60 or 90 days, you can stay in Niger without a passport, as long as you are from the ECOWAS country. So the relationships are deep. It's not something we can just destroy like that. They cannot just lie down and say, we prostrate. Nigeria has said something, we're going to... No, their first action is to react. What will not happen is that at the back door, on the background, what you and I will not see, negotiations will start.
The junta seem to have the support of Nigerian citizens who believe it's a fight against France, its former colonial ruler.
We think that what is necessary today is to have a win-win partner, not a partner where it's only the West that profits. It's about dignity. That's our problem.
ECOWAS had issued a 7-day ultimatum for the reinstatement of President Bazoum to avoid possible clash with the junta. But putschists in Niger announced they would retaliate immediately in the event of aggression or attempted aggression against their country by ECOWAS. Ni Omni, reporting for News Central Lagos.
And some more developments about the latest coup in West Africa. West African defense chiefs say they have made a plan for potential military intervention to reverse last week's coup in Niger Republic, including how and when to deploy forces. Now, ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, Abdel Fattah Musa, on Friday said the regional bloc will not divulge to the coup plotters when and where it will strike. He adds that the decision will be taken by the heads of state. Speaking at the close of a 3-day meeting in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, Musa said all the elements that will go into any eventual intervention have been worked out, including the resources needed.
The chiefs of defense staff and their teams have worked round the clock to come up with a concept of operation for an eventual military intervention in the Republic of Niger, to restore constitutional order, to ensure the release of the detained president, all the elements that would go into any eventual intervention have been worked out here and being refined, including the timing, including the resources needed, and including how and where and when we are going to deploy such a force. So we are determined to stop it. But ECOWAS is not going to tell the coup plotters when and where we are going to strike. That is an operational decision that will be taken by the heads of state.
Let's unpack all of these developments. Adeniyi Kuno is a political analyst who's joining me now via Zoom. Good evening to you, Adeniyi. Thanks for your company here. Now, I do want to ask you, we know about the recent coup in Niger. That's a fact. We also know that there are people within the country who are happy about this. And then there are people who are outside, like the rest of us, the ECOWAS, the AU, and, the foreign powers who are unhappy about what is going on. And so hit us straight with it. Is this one coup too many, or perhaps this is one that is different amongst the coups we have seen in West Africa?
Let me say thank you first for inviting me to the program. Perhaps maybe the reason why Nigeria is speaking very loud about this is simply because of the proximity of Niger to Nigeria. And of course, Nigeria being an ECOWAS powerhouse and of course an African powerhouse appears to be making them press so hard to ensure that we have the military to get the power back in Niger. But I need to ask, where were these same ECOWAS defense corps when Guinea was taken over, when Burkina Faso was taken over, when Mali was taken over? Where was this group of hypocritical persons when the Tuareg rebels were running northern region of Mali aground? What about the insurgency here? It tells you that the crop of those who are leading ECOWAS are also very, very hypocritical. Until the ouster of Alpha Conde of Guinea, what were the things that they did? Let me give us a picture of what is happening. The West has never been very honest with the way it deals with Africa. And as we speak, while everybody is talking about the military is bad, why is the same ECOWAS not trying to use the same level of force to get the power back to the persons who own the power in Mali? That's the question. Why are they not deploying the same level of force to get the power owners back in Burkina Faso? Why are they refusing to speak very strong to the issue of what is happening in Guinea? This hypocritical crop of things happening. And if you look at it, before those problems in these particular countries that I've mentioned, their leaders have continued appearing untouchable, and every time they go to meetings and all of that, and what happens, they look away. The same France were looking, as a country, France was looking, Alassane Ouattara altered the constitution of Ivory Coast so that it will continue to be in power. France kept quiet. The ECO currency that was supposed to be the power currency of the ECOWAS region was bungled by the same France. Let me give you a picture. The Eiffel Tower makes use of uranium from Niger Republic, and in fact, 1/3 of the entire power in the entire France comes from the uranium they get in Niger. The Eiffel Tower particularly is powered by the uranium from what? From Niger. Let me give you some breakdown here. If you're talking about the monies made, the Eiffel Tower without a doubt makes about 662,574 euros every day, obviously, from the Eiffel Tower. Yes, I'm just giving you this breakdown to tell you that it's the economics that is unfavorable to the West, and it's the fact that many of the leaders that have kept their people impoverished in Africa have continued, to collaborate with the West, particularly France, to keep these countries under.
I see.
I condemn military takeover, and I also condemn the incursion of ECOWAS going there, because let me tell you, it's going to be very notorious for the people living in the northwest and the northeast.
Your last point confused me, because then I was going to ask you, are we, the rest of us, are we crying much more than the bereaved in the scenario? But then you say that you condemn the situation in Niger, but you also condemn what the rest of us are doing. And so my question, what then will be the way out? We know that on Sunday, ECOWAS has had its, taken the top stance. It says it will go into Niger militarily. We know that the president in Nigeria is already seeking Senate support for such a move. Where's the way forward there?
In the first place, I want to make it clear that in the midst of this conversation, anywhere you have a democratically elected government, you are not supposed to have usurpation of power by the military, because in every federated system, the military has constitutional role as defined. But I'm simply saying here that rather than the ECOWAS speak strongly to issues and speak to the people that continue to perpetuate themselves in power, because, excuse me, this coup hasn't happened in isolation at all. Alassane Ouattara is one, Togo's Eyadema is another, and ECOWAS has never deemed it fit to speak to the issue of allowing democracy to function very properly in this country. Before the takeover by the military, ECOWAS has never deemed it fit to call themselves to order. In fact, within the ECOWAS region, Nigeria appears to be the only country that has some form of respect for the continuation of democratically elected government amidst the voting issues that we have, which of course we can find everywhere. In most of all these Francophone countries, anything that affects the interests of France will never be allowed. Let's also look at Cameroon. So I'm simply saying that I condemn military incursion, but I also want to totally condemn the hypocrisy of the ECOWAS Corps, the Defense Corps, because they did not deem it fit to come together and completely destroy insurgency in the Sahel region. Why is it that they didn't sit to go to Mali and destroy what the tribe rebels are doing against the people of Mali, go to Burkina Faso as a troop, destroy them, go to Guinea and destroy them, come to Northeast Nigeria and destroy them? Because it seems some people are also the ones helping to do the ammunition round, and of course help these people confuse the insurgency. So many of them
I don't mean to, well, I am interrupting, so maybe I mean to interrupt, but I apologize for that. I do want us to look at Sunday. It's less than 48 hours away from, the deadline that ECOWAS has given the junta. We know that the junta has said that we will respond militarily as well if any country toys with the sovereignty of Niger. What are we up against Sunday and post-Sunday?
We are up against a hydra-headed monster. In terms of economic implications, of all these other countries that are joining forces to go into Niger to fight, none has as much economic interest with Niger as us as a country. Don't forget, we built a bridge with Nigerian taxpayers' money into Maradi, completed for the purposes of promoting businesses between Nigeria and Niger. So if we do a quantifying and a qualifying of the implications for all the countries that want to go into Niger, Nigeria will suffer more. Don't forget, Niger actually has borders with a lot of northeastern states that have already been made mess of by insurgents. So we should expect an increase in the number of IDPs, expect an increase in the number of insurgents that are becoming, expect an increase in ammunition that will flood the entire northern part of this country. So a situation where the president of the country is quick to ask the Senate for approval to take Nigeria's military into Niger is still advised. I can tell you, we have not been able to manage the orchestrations of insurgency that has actually messed us up for the past 11, 12 years. I want to get into a war with a country that actually shares linguistic and ethnic affinity with the country. There are lots of negative implications for the country. So Nigeria has to rethink the 48 hours. If indeed they want to deal with this coup plotters, they should include Guinea, they should include Burkina Faso.
Absolutely. Adeni, just before I let you go,
that is it for me.
Just before I let you go, do you see the Senate denying President Tinubu access to the military to invade, Commander-in-Chief that is, access to the military to invade Niger as he hopes to do?
They are listening to me right now because we have the DSS, the SSS always watching when people like us go on air. They are listening to me right now. And if they listen to me carefully this night, they should deny the president access to take Nigeria's military into Niger. We don't even have enough to deal with insurgents. They want to take them into a regional battle. Excuse me, I don't want that to happen to us at all. I hope that the Senate doesn't give him the approval so that we can deal with our problem and we'll find alternative means of conflict resolution in Niger. Please, we should do that.
Indeed, Adeni, we'll keep an eye on the situation as the deadline draws close. Perhaps we'll have this conversation again Sunday or Monday.
Hopefully
Thank you so much for your company.
Thank you. I appreciate your invitation.
Adeni Kono is a political analyst. We have been discussing Niger's situation. Sanctions have already been proposed. We'll see how that goes.